Good evening, everyone. My name is Toby Palmer, and before I show you all my project tonight, I'd like to start us off with a little bit of statistics. According to the Williams Institute, in June of 2022, about 0.5% of people in the United States ages 18 and older identified as transgender or fall under the transgender umbrella. That sounds like a small number, but when you do the math of population records in 2022, which was roughly 338 million people, that's about 1 million people across the U.S. Within Arkansas alone, that equates to 15,000 people. The general statistics provided in the report, however, only come from people who are out and open about their gender identity, meaning that there is an untold amount of people who are not included because they, for whatever reason, were not out about their gender identity. As someone who is transgender, there is a lot of problems I've run into in the process of seeking various resources like healthcare and affirming care. But just to get a broader perspective, I've done a little survey of my own from people within Arkansas. With a total of 45 participants from the LGBTQ+ community, 55% of them reported as transgender, 25% reported as non-binary, and the remaining combined 6% stated themselves to be questioning or identifying under a separate microlabel. Participants' ages ranged from 18 to 49, with an average of 26 and other various little fun facts. But the real meat is when we dig into one question in particular. When prompted about what each participant struggled with most regarding gender-affirming care, the results are pretty revealing. Over 56% reported being unable to find a doctor or therapist who specialized in hormone replacement therapy, did not take their identity seriously, or was generally not up to date with gender-inclusive terminology. One respondent even described how their doctor would dead name them and refused to go by their new name and pronouns, even when it was noted on their file. 53% of respondents reported on insecurity in finding jobs or living spaces and would not discriminate against them based on gender identity. 44% reported being unable to find non-surgical means of affirming care, such as hormone replacement, chest binders, tucks, etc. And overall, 64% of participants responded saying they had trouble finding safe queer spaces and businesses in their local area, whether due to there being little marketing for it or because one simply did not exist. So for my thesis project to help the growing issue of scarce information regarding transgender resources, I've assembled a prototype for a website that lists every available service for transgender individuals, such as healthcare, jobs, housing, local organizations, and queer-owned and operated businesses that can all be found within their town or local area without having to drive miles away to find what they need. It currently lists services only to Fort Smith, but is designed with the idea and goal in mind that it can list and accept information from all across Arkansas and even potentially the entire United States. I call this site the Open Closet Project. Now, the name Open Closet actually comes from the terms in the closet or closeting, which is used to describe individuals of the LGBTQ+ community who are not out or open about their gender or sexuality due to fear or lack of support from family members, friends, co-workers, or the general region they live in. There's an accompanying term known as coming out of the closet, which means that someone is finally ready to come out and be open about who they are, what they identify as, and be proud of it. With that in mind, I wanted this project to provide a more open space to inspire those in the trans and non-binary community to be proud of who they are, with help and resources provided by this website. I want to show myself and everyone else that there's help out there if they just know where to look. I especially tried to focus on the feeling of openness in terms of the site's logo. There were a couple of different variations and ideas that I tried playing around with, eventually landing on the idea of a closet. The only problem was that certain signs felt far too stiff for what I was going for until I landed on the current logo design, which seemed to resonate more with people when shown different variants. The color scheme for this site was drawn mostly off the trans flag itself, sort of as a way to acknowledge who this site was made for while also still making it dynamic and vibrant on its own. The colors blue and pink are proven to be very calming colors throughout color theory. Blue is associated with serenity, peace, and tranquility, while pink is associated with warmth, safety, and has even been shown to positively affect the nervous system in lighter shades. You'll be seeing this in better effect and use for the next few slides. As you can see, you can navigate through the site through the home page and its footer, which helps reduce having to go back and forth between pages. For the sake of both time restraints and tonight's presentation, this prototype only shows results for Fort Smith. In actual practice, there will be a search function where you can look for your own town or city within your state and add additional filters, such as looking specifically for therapists or doctors. If you look at the screen, you may ask, well, what if there's a resource missing? And to that, I say, if you look a little closer at the bottom of one of these pages here, you may notice that there is a little button that redirects to the site's submit form. This form, when in use, will take in information that the user inputs and send it to the site's support email. From then on, staff can overlook the information and get in contact with whatever resource has been sent and properly vet the information. If the information turns out to be false, then it will be rejected. If more information is needed or if information is outdated, there's also a contact page where people can submit their information and find various methods of reaching out to the site on social media. All resources currently available on the prototype are real and will read you to real pages containing information on each of these businesses and organizations. Many of these resources have been proved by people from the survey and from a lot of painstaking research from having to navigate through a lot of the site's layouts as well as contacting these businesses outright in some cases. The total amount of time it took just to get what you see before you took a collective 3 weeks of research and waiting on responses from representatives and running into dead ends. For much of the internet and queer spaces before now, this was sometimes the only way to find resources if it could be found on any social media or website that even existed. With the help of the Open Project Closet, the process is even more centralized, saves time, and provides you more accurate and direct information from these organizations and businesses who are ready to help you. But why is this so important? To answer that, I'm unfortunately going to have to bring up some very real and dire situations. Transgender people are unfortunately 4 times likely to be a victim of violent crime than cisgender people. They are also more times likely to be, legislation also has increased and nearly doubled between the years 2017 and 2021, with a total of 669 bills being the current record-breaking year. On the Open Project site, under the tab Community Sources, you can find links to virtual resources such as video and images tutorials, printable resources, and PDF guides on important topics. Here you may find PDF guides on how one can navigate their rights as a transgender individual, a comprehensive guide on how to combat violence and abuse, and a documentation on the impact of anti-trans legislation, all written by legal professionals to guide readers on ways to best handle these issues and to find legal help. There's also been an unprecedented mental health crisis among trans and non-binary youth. Within this year and last, there has been a reported 83% of trans youth reported symptoms of anxiety and had an additional 68% reported symptoms of depression. 59% of trans youth have contemplated suicide, with 22% of those same kids attempting it. Underneath the healthcare tab on the Open Project Closet site, users may look up and find active therapists and mental health professionals in their area who have openly been found and proven to either be LGBTQ friendly or members of the community, and find various methods of contacting professionals to seek help. If you want more information on all these statistics I've spoken about and more, you may find me after the presentation at my booth for any further questions. Before I wrap this up, I just want to say this. This is all real, and it's all happening in real time. Trans people, non-binary people, or anyone who falls outside the typical gender spectrum are under attack now more than ever by legislations and groups that promote hate. These are real people. These are your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, your kids. No one should have to live their lives scared of being shot or worrying about not having a home or job if they come out as trans or non-binary. No one should have to live with so much anxiety or feel like there is nowhere to go for help. That is why projects and websites like this need to exist. These are resources that will save, educate, and protect so many lives. It is my sincere hope that one day this vision can become a reality, because no one deserves to live a life in the closet feeling scared and unwelcome. Thank you. Are there any questions before I leave? I'll take that as a no.